All right, man, peace. So for those of us who've been following the NBA for at least 15 years now, we know that LeBron James and Paul Pierce have a very long and storied history. They were once rivals in the NBA. Paul Pierce is now retired. We know that both he and LeBron James will be first ballot Hall of Famers when their time comes. Paul Pierce and his Boston Celtics were able to eliminate LeBron out of the playoffs in 2008 and 2010, after which LeBron decided that he was going to go to the Miami Heat. And in 2011 and 2012, the Miami Heat were able to eliminate Paul Pierce and his Boston Celtics. Paul is clearly very exasperated in his new turn as an NBA commentator with what he perceives to be, and what very clearly is, in my view as well, the over-exaltation of LeBron James is not enough to just appreciate his greatness as a basketball player. The liberal sports media has to constantly lavish him with all this praise and make up excuses to concoct and create new awards to give him, because they realize that he's not going to win any more championships unless everybody gets hurt. And they also know that he's not going to win any more MVP awards because many of the other more prominent stars in the NBA are leading their teams in a better fashion and are helping their teams in a more proficient way. Yes, LeBron puts up great statistics because he is a great player, but at this stage in his career, he is so accustomed to playing in the LeBron James system that he can't play with any other stars. And I don't think that people realize that right now. They don't grasp that anymore. He's going to try it next year. He may try to go to Houston, or he may try to team up with Kevin Durant and maybe Paul George with the Lakers. Who knows? But I just don't see his style of play being conducive to working around other prominent players. But anyway, that brings me back to Mr. Paul Pierce, who got annoyed with Brian Windhorst, the resident LeBron James fanboy on ESPN, when Brian Windhorst basically stated that he can't believe that LeBron James is not going to get any recognition for the great season that he's had this year. So anyway, they're going to talk about it. I'm going to chime in.
Stick my hand up there. LeBron James throwing the hammer down.
So LeBron did that yesterday, and it's only been just one of a season of spectacular dunks. How about this one on Evan Fournier from January 6th? On December 16th, we also had the alley-oop, left hand against the Jazz. This is his 15th season. Come on.
Absolutely. He's had some phenomenal dunks this season. What's funny, though, is that I remember when he first went back to the Cleveland Cavaliers, he could barely dunk. And then he took that little time off, went back to Miami, came back looking like the Incredible Hulk, and he was jumping out the gym again. I wonder what happened.
Played every game.
This is when your athleticism is supposed to decline, but it seems like his is going up.
We have...
Paul Pierce, what are you really saying, brother? Paul Pierce said, this is the time when your athleticism is supposed to decline, but it seems like his is going up. Paul Pierce, what are you really saying? Yeah, it's so funny. I laugh to myself when I hear Paul Pierce or Kevin Garnett make those type of statements, because they both say that all the time about LeBron. They say, wow, LeBron's athleticism is going up at 33. That's never been seen before. What are they really saying about LeBron James? This is why I liken LeBron unto the Lance Armstrong of basketball. For LeBron's sake, he better hope that his career does not end in the same way that Lance Armstrong's career came to an end.
We haven't even showed the Nurkic one. Can we show the Nurkic one? You know we're going to show the Nurkic one.
I remember the All-Star game dunk that he caught backwards. Yep. I was like...
That's the best dunk of the year right there.
Whoa.
He also hit a 30-footer yesterday to win the game, basically.
All right, so again, LeBron is doing all of this in his 15th year in the league. That has literally never been done before. He is putting up better numbers in some categories than he did in his MVP award years. So last night, our Brian Windhorst emails me, and he's talking about how crazy it is that there's no real way to recognize this, right? Because of the year that James Harden's had, kind of have to give him MVP. And I have to tell you guys, I almost dropped my phone.
No, you don't have to give James Harden the MVP. You must give him the MVP because he is the MVP. When you make statements like you have to give him the MVP, what you're implying is that you don't really want to. It's not your job to give the MVP or not give the MVP to players based on whether you want to or not. It's your job to give the MVP to the most deserving player. The most deserving player this season is James Harden.
I was so excited because I got to type in back. Aha! Are you, Brian Windhorst, coming around to my campaign that the NBA needs to do what the NFL does? Needs to do what hockey does and have 2 awards, one for best season, which would of course go to James Harden, and hey, one for just who's the best player in the NBA. And Brian said,
Rachel, last year when you were doing this, I supported you, but I really wasn't invested in it. But I supported you.
That is such a slap in the face. If they were to create an award called Best Player and then another one for Best Season, what you're telling the player who won the award for Best Season is that, yes, you just happen to have a very nice season, but you're not the best player. But these liberal idiots in the mainstream sports media, they're so dead set on making sure that they exalt LeBron James because even they understand that his time is coming to an end, that they want to make up any excuse to still give him some form of exaltation that he does not deserve. LeBron is an all-time great player, first ballot Hall of Famer, top 10 on my list. But he should get MVP awards when and if he deserves them. There should not be a new award created just to honor him.
I can't in good conscience not vote for James Harden for MVP. He meets all the criteria. He absolutely should have my vote. But I am having difficulty with not honoring LeBron James some way. And I would also look back. He's not going to win the MVP this year.
Yes, because he doesn't deserve to.
It will have been 5 years since he won his last MVP.
Well, it's been 5 years since he deserved to win. Because in 2014, Kevin Durant had a better year than him. In 2015, Steph Curry had a better year than him. In 2016, Steph Curry had a better year than him. In 2017, James Harden and Russell Westbrook had a better year than LeBron James. And this year, James Harden is having a better year than LeBron James. That's what that is called, Brian Windhorst. They were the MVP for that season. They're having a better year than him. Do I believe that LeBron James is a better all-around player than those players? Yes. That does not mean that there should be a new award concocted for him. That's not how that works, sir.
And he has been the best player in the league over those 5 years. I don't think there's any question about that. How can we, as voters, look at ourselves in a historical context and say that we have not given LeBron James an MVP in this 5-year stretch?
Very easy. The same way that you can look through Magic Johnson's career, Larry Bird's career, Michael Jordan's career, Kobe Bryant's career, Shaquille O'Neal's career, Tim Duncan's career, and you can go through each one of their careers year by year, and you can assess certain seasons where they could have won another MVP award or additional MVP awards. It's okay. The NBA is a league. It's not meant to just showcase or highlight one individual player. And let me say this, the NBA needs LeBron James less than they ever needed Michael Jordan or Magic Johnson or Larry Bird. They needed Michael Jordan way more than they need LeBron James now, and they still denied him some MVP awards. When Michael Jordan retired, the NBA ratings dipped precipitously. If LeBron James retires tomorrow, they have more than enough stars to carry the NBA. If the NBA Finals this year do not feature LeBron James, they will not miss him, particularly if Boston is able to get healthy and make the finals. They will not miss LeBron, I promise you that. If it's Houston versus Boston or Golden State versus Boston, the ratings will be just as high.
And I have to agree with you, Rachel. I have to say we need to have 2 awards.
Oh my God! Wait! I'm sorry. He wasn't on camera when he said that. We got to replay it.
This goes back to when Michael Jordan played. Michael Jordan could have got MVP every single year.
Thank you, sir. Look through Michael Jordan's career year by year. The 86-87 season, he averaged 37 points per game, had over 200 steals, over 100 blocks, First player in NBA history to ever get over 200 steals and 100 blocks in one season. And that's just on the defensive end. On the offensive end, he averaged 37 points a game. He did not win the MVP award. I'm not even sure if he finished in the top two. I know Magic Johnson won it that year. I believe Bird might have finished second. Either Bird or Jordan finished second. 1989, Jordan averaged 32.5 points a game, 8 assists, 8 rebounds. Once again, stellar defensive play. 1990, 33.5 points a game, 7 assists, 7 rebounds, shot 54% from the field. Did not get the MVP award. 1993, averaged almost 33 points a game, shot 50% from the field. Did not get the MVP award. That's how that goes, Brown Windhorse. No, we don't make up new awards because we're fanboys. This is why fanboys annoy me, because they're always saying some little silly faggoty shit, man. It's obnoxious.
Year for his last 10 years in the league.
That is the point.
And the same thing we're seeing with LeBron. I mean, his MVP, these numbers are crazy. They could be MVP worthy any given year, but he's went up against historic seasons.
Absolutely. Break it down, Paul. Thank you, sir.
You got to understand, 3 years ago when Steph, they won 73 games. You're dealing with his stats and the 73-win team. Last year, Russell Westbrook averaged a triple-double. This year,
a 30-point triple-double.
This year, James Harden has just been out of his mind playing. So
absolutely. 31, 9, and 8.
And so, I mean, James, he's in the conversation every single year. I mean, look at the stats, don't lie. But when you got guys putting up huge stats and putting up more wins, it's hard not to give it to these other guys.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir. You said it perfectly. And you forgot in 2014, the season that Kevin Durant had was even better than the season that LeBron James had. Kevin Durant had a higher PER, scored more. He was just dynamic that season. He deserved it. That was the Mama Durant is the real MVP season. 2015, Steph Curry won the MVP as he deserved to, was dynamic, led the league in wins. Golden State came out of nowhere, eventually won the championship. 2016, they had the legendary regular season where they won 73 games. Steph Curry was the first player in NBA history to go 50, 40, 90 and average over 30 points a game. Once again, that was a historic individual season, not even counting the fact that they won 73 games that year. 2017, of course, Russell Westbrook with the 30 points per game and averaging a triple-double. And this year, James Harden putting up unbelievable numbers, over 30 points a game, 9 assists, 8 rebounds, leading the league in regular season victories. So, no consolation prize for Mr. LeBron James. No.
This is what we do in the NBA. We're progressive, and we say that when there's something that needs to be corrected, we say that.
You just want to give LeBron all these awards.
No,
Thank you, sir.
No, I can't.
Listen,
if I voted for LeBron for MVP, I would get eviscerated.
In any other year, these numbers he's put up over the last 3-4 years are MVP. But like I said, he's went against historic seasons.
Absolutely. Once again, the NBA is a league. They have to market all their stars. They love the fact that they can spread the MVP award around. They love that. And I've already gone over this before in regards to the season where Michael Jordan did not win MVP. He was far more deserving of claiming that they should create a whole other award for him, because there was a span and a stretch where the league was literally carried by Michael Jordan. Really starting from about 1988. It even started before he started winning championships, where the league started to be carried by him. Because in the late 80s, after the Celtics fell off, the NBA did not have the Lakers-Celtics rivalry to hang their hat on. When the bad boy Pistons came into prominence, that's when they started to say to themselves, we have to move those guys out the way, one way or the other. Now, of course, the maturation of the Bulls and Michael Jordan coincided with that, but there's no doubt that they certainly did not want the bad boy Pistons to continue on for a third season winning a championship. They were just an eyesore. And I say that as a person who appreciated how they played, their intellectual style of play, their great execution on both offense and defense, but they were dirty. There's no doubt about that. And the league really was trying to hang its hat and its new image, its new global brand on Michael Jordan. And people don't understand that the NBA was in a little bit of trouble for that one seaon after Jordan retired. Ratings really dipped. So they needed Phil Jackson to go to another major franchise and turn them into a dynasty so that they can try to transmit and transmute some of that energy from Chicago to another major market and hope that people forget Michael Jordan. That's another reason why Jordan came back to give the NBA that little bit of a stimulus package after 2001 so that people could get some closure, because there was no closure to the Jordan era after 98 because they won a championship. People need to see their heroes get defeated and get knocked out. They need to feel like, okay, we know the narrative is over. They never got that feeling of closure with Michael Jordan after he made the game-winning shot against Utah. So he did the NBA a favor in more ways than one when he came back to play for the Wizards. He helped to provide some closure for his career and for that portion of the NBA mythos. But, I mean, just go through Jordan's seasons, man. There were seasons where he was averaging well over 30 a game, shooting on 50%, still did not win MVPs. So if he can deal with that, so can LeBron James.
But I think the key point here, and Paul, I do hear what you're saying, and I hear that a lot. Oh, you guys just want to give LeBron a bunch of awards.
Yeah, because it's true. People are getting tired of you guys and your bullshit.
Awards. You brought up the Michael Jordan point. That is kind of the point. Michael Jordan was a transcendent, dominant player for such a long period, and it wasn't marked by the MVPs.
No, actually, it was marked by the MVPs. Michael won 5 MVPs. That showed that was his era. He didn't have to win every season. You had other great players. You had Hakeem Olajuwon. You had Charles Barkley. You had David Robinson. You had Karl Malone. It's okay that they won one. You can give them one. Once again, it's good marketing for the NBA brand that we have great players in various cities. We don't just have to establish a pseudo monopoly by putting everything just on one player. Now, Jordan was so transcendent that the league could not help but to kind of funnel a lot of their marketing strategies towards him and around him. But whenever you're building a business, you want to make sure that people understand that you have other products that they should, want to pay attention to. Yes, go watch Utah with Karl Malone and John Stockton. Pay attention to Seattle with Gary Payton and Sean Kemp. Check out Houston with Hakeem Olajuwon and Clyde Drexler. Look at Phoenix with Charles Barkley. Hey, take a gander at San Antonio with David Robinson. So on and so forth. You want to spread the wealth around a little bit in regards to attention. And create a dynamic that if the major star decides to leave or has to go for a while, that people don't miss them too much. Once again, when LeBron James is gone, people are not going to miss him like they did Michael Jordan, because the league is properly set up with a lot of great young stars. That's why they're marketing Antetokounmpo so much. They want him to be the replacement for LeBron. And LeBron understands that intrinsically. He understands that his replacements are already being set up. Ben Simmons in Philly, Antetokounmpo in Milwaukee are meant to be the replacements for LeBron James once he's gone. But LeBron's going to be one of those guys who holds on until he's like 39 years old. I guarantee he's going to be around for a long time.
LeBron James has been a dominant player and has been getting better maybe in this last couple of years.
Right.
That is not marked by the MVP. So the system doesn't seem to be set up to sort of recognize who is the best player in the NBA. And again, other leagues have done this. The NFL says who's the best offensive player, who's having the best offensive statistical year.
Well, that's what's known as a red herring. What the NFL does is the NFL gives you an MVP, which is the most valuable player, and then they give you the best offensive player of the year. Why is that? Because the NFL is much more positional than the NBA. In the NBA, the players play both offense and defense. And you have lead players or alpha players on every team. So when you start considering who's going to be the MVP of the NBA, you're talking about a LeBron James, a James Harden, a Russell Westbrook, a Steph Curry, Kevin Durant. Those guys basically all play the same role on their team. When you talk about the NFL, you can have a season where one player wins the MVP, like a Adrian Peterson, and then another player wins the Offensive Player of the Year, like a Peyton Manning, in the same season. Why is that? Because even though they both play offense, they play totally different positions. So yes, it is easier to quantify why you should recognize two different guys for both having great seasons. And the NBA is different. Everyone basically is doing similar things when you're the most prominent player on your team. So you can compare an Antetokounmpo to a LeBron. You can compare a Kevin Durant to LeBron. You can compare a James Harden to a LeBron because they're basically asked to do, if not identical, but very similar things on their team. So that's why it's not necessary for you to have an Offensive Player of the Year award in the NBA, while you would in the NFL.
Here, the NHL, who's got the scoring title, and that's different from who is the best player in the league.
Well, you already have who's got the scoring title in the NBA, Rachel Nichols. How long have you been watching basketball again? Because you're making an ass of yourself right now.
The NBA needs to not even be progressive, catch up on this.
Right.
I mean,
No, they don't need to catch up on anything.
right
And
now,
say, hey,
like
there
James
should
Harden
be
is the
2
best
awards.
player right now.
Thank you, sir. He's the best player right now, as in this season. James Harden is the best player in regards to the season that he's having. Is he the best player overall? No, that's LeBron James, because you're weighing in on the context of his entire career. But this season, James Harden is having a better season than LeBron James.
I mean, he's
If
leading the
you
league
were
in scoring.
on the playground and you had to pick one guy to win one game and be in your pickup teams and all the NBA players were there, would you pick James Harden over LeBron James right now?
I can't pick James Harden or LeBron because LeBron is a proven winner.
There we go.
You know, until James gets to that level, I mean, of course it's LeBron.
I agree, because LeBron James is the better overall player. But James is having the better season. James Harden's having the better season. That's what the conversation is about. Paul Pierce, don't let her confuse you, brother. Don't let her try to obfuscate the argument.
Of course. I mean, I'm going off his track record. He has 3 championships.
There you go.
The
This is
MVPs.
not a participation trophy.
Right.
This isn't just let's give out more awards because we feel bad.
No, actually, that's exactly what this is. That's exactly what this is. It's a let's give out more awards because we feel bad. And the only thing that you're going to do if you create an award called the best player is you're going to make the MVP feel inept. You're going to make the MVP feel like he won a consolation prize. And you don't want to do that.
Bad. This is, hey, these are 2 different things here. We are talking about 2 different things. To lump them all into one award doesn't make sense.
I just feel like I defend my votes for Steve Nash for when he won MVP. I still feel good about those, even though people...
And Steve Nash deserved those awards, especially the first one. I don't know about the second one. The first one he deserved, because he was extremely impactful in that D'Antoni system. And that Phoenix Suns team in the mid-2000s is probably one of the top 5 most influential NBA teams in the history of the NBA. They were able to turn the tide from a lot of that ugly, super defensive, super physical basketball that was really starting to destroy the NBA in the early 2000s, where you were having a whole bunch of 75 to 72 ball games and nobody was watching.
Say this. 10 years from now, when people say, how did LeBron not win an MVP between 2013 and 2018, I'm not going to have an answer.
Well, you should have an answer, because where did you get the answers? That you go year by year and you establish why each person won the MVP, and that's not very difficult to do.
Yes, you are, because
I'm
you're
gonna
going to
feel
look
bad.
into the camera and say,
I think we may
I'm a fat bastard.
need 2 awards.
I'm knocking them down one by one, people. Zach Lowe, you're next. All right, John.
Paul Pierce, you started off strong, but you ended weak, brother. You let her confound you with that weak-ass NFL argument, which really holds no water. But anyway, we'll see what happens. We'll see if the NBA relents and creates a whole other award to help LeBron James deal with his transition from being a possible championship contending player to a player who's just going to put up big numbers in the regular season and not win championships. But anyway, peace.